I'm just going to cut to the chase. There's $15 million short. You talked about a deal. There was no deal. There was no redevelopers agreement. There was no sale or purchasers agreement. I want to know what that $15 million translates to if it doesn't come through. We deserve an answer. Everybody in this room deserves an answer. Everybody watching at home, everybody that rents and owns is entitled to prepare for something catastrophic like this if this happens.
For the average Bayonne home, it would be $855.
So let me just put this in perspective too, because this budget, begins in January. So by the time, it's finalized for June, we're looking at the third and fourth quarter. So that homeowners are going to get hit with that over 2 quarters, not 4.
Any increase, as in every year, is always in the last 2 quarters of the tax bill.
I just want to point
But before people really start thinking that they're going to get hit with an $855 increase,
we're not.
Everybody up here is working to prevent that. That is not the probability.
I've never accused you of not doing your due diligence, but the reality is that, look, we can't predict the future, right? And, at least we can prepare for, God forbid, catastrophic situations. If you're not being upfront with the public, what do you call it? When I spoke to George Camona at the state, he basically explained the budget situation to me. And they deal in cash and closings. They don't deal in redevelopers, agreements, promissory notes, handshakes, those sort of things. So what is the likelihood that we are going to get some kind of deal? Because there's just no way in this budget that you're going to be able to cut appropriations, find new revenues. There's only so much money that's inside the couch.
First, when the state reviews our budget, what they're really looking at on the revenues, and you have to understand, there is a book, so to speak, of in the perfect world, this is how everything works. The state deals with the fact, and I think deals with it pretty well, deals with the fact that it's not a perfect world. We would certainly have to present to the state sufficient evidence of whatever revenues we put into the budget. There's never a guarantee. We put in that we're going to collect X amount of dollars from the court. There's no guarantee. What's the evidence? We received that much last year. Or we received that much last year and we increased fees by 10%. We have to give to the state sufficient evidence or reasons why it is a strong probability that the funds will be collected. The state doesn't want to see the catastrophic tax increase. Obviously, our taxpayers don't want to see that. And we're going to continue to work to prevent that.
I appreciate that. As far as other things, other avenues that we can pursue, is there anything considered with layoffs? Last year I stood here and said that there were 45 new hires. I never claimed to be an expert in much, but I can count from 1 to 45. And I was proven to be right, and recently we just learned there were 119 new hires total. We have to look at this stuff. Like Pete said earlier, we have to cut, or at least stop spending. I look at this, you go outside, you got a lounge. What are we going to have, a barista? Like, I just don't get it. You know what I mean? There's so much stuff, whether it was the flooring, whether it was, the vehicles, all that stuff. At some point, we got to stop, spend within our means. That's what I do. I budget. I budget for my place. I live paycheck to paycheck. That's what I do. But I'm not late on my bills and I get stuff done. There's an obligation there.
I agree with you. There is an obligation. There's an obligation that, well, it's multiple obligations. Just not obligations of reduce the budget. There's also an obligation to provide services to our citizens.
I'm going to tell you that if you look under salaries and wages, it definitely went up 1.6 million. If you look under pensions, that also went up. It's not like Governor Christie said, hey, you got to pay more into the pensions. You hired more people. That's why it went up.
We also have increases every year.
Absolutely.
So it's not only the number of people. They've had raises.
But you could at
There's
least
not a
agree.
net new of 135 people. There's people who left, people who retired, people who just quit, like crossing guards and everything. So that's not a net new number.
Madam President, with all due respect, if we don't have it, we shouldn't spend it. And it's not your money, it's our money.
More money.